The winter of 1944 was one of the coldest Europe had seen in decades. Entire forests were buried beneath snow. Roads disappeared under ice, and across Belgium, thousands of exhausted soldiers fought not only against each other, but against hunger, fear, and the freezing darkness itself. Most people know World War II through famous battles: Normandy, Berlin, Pearl Harbor, but hidden deep inside the Ardennes Forest, there was another story. A story almost nobody talks about. A story about a secret underground German radio station capable of changing the course of the war. And the young American soldier who accidentally discovered it. Private Daniel Hayes was only 22 years old. Before the war, he lived a quiet life in Ohio with his parents. He repaired broken radios in his father's small workshop and dreamed of someday opening his own business. War changed everything. By late 1944, Daniel had already spent months in Europe. He had seen bombed villages, burning tanks, and friends who disappeared overnight in the snow. But nothing could prepare him for what he would find in the Ardennes. At the time, many Americans believed Germany was already losing the war. Newspapers back home spoke confidently about victory. Some soldiers even believed they might be home by Christmas. They were wrong. On December 16, 1944, Germany launched one final massive surprise attack through Belgium and Luxembourg. It became known as the Battle of the Bulge. More than 200,000 German soldiers suddenly emerged from the forests under heavy snow and fog. Entire American units were caught completely off guard. Communication lines collapsed. Roads became blocked, and thousands of soldiers vanished inside the freezing woods. Daniel served in a communications unit attached to the U.S. Army. His job was simple: maintain radios, repair damaged equipment, and help keep contact between American battalions moving through the forest. But during the first days of the German attack, strange things began happening. American patrols received orders that made no sense. Some units were told to retreat when no retreat had been ordered. Others walked directly into German ambushes after receiving fake radio coordinates. At first, officers blamed confusion, but then the disappearances started. Entire recon teams entered the Ardennes and never returned. No bodies, no radio responses, nothing, only silence. 3 days before Christmas, Daniel's commanding officer gathered several soldiers inside an abandoned church near Bastogne. Candles flickered beside shattered windows. Outside, artillery explosions echoed across the snow-covered hills. Captain Morris placed several maps across a wooden table. Then he spoke quietly. "We believe the Germans are operating a hidden communications station somewhere beneath the forest." The room fell silent. According to intercepted intelligence, the station was transmitting powerful encrypted signals across huge distances. But it wasn't just sending messages. It was also broadcasting false American commands. The Germans were manipulating Allied communications directly from inside the Ardennes. Captain Morris pointed toward a dark section of forest circled in red pencil. Every missing patrol was last seen near this area. One soldier looked nervous. "So what exactly are we walking into?" The captain paused for a moment. "We don't know." That night, Daniel joined a small reconnaissance team entering the forest. Snow reached their knees. The temperature was far below freezing. Every breath turned instantly to ice. The deeper they moved into the woods, the stranger things became. Burned military vehicles sat abandoned between the trees. Frozen bodies remained half-covered beneath snowdrifts. Some were German, others American. Most looked as though they had died only hours earlier. Then Daniel noticed something disturbing. Every compass carried by the patrol had stopped working. The needles spun wildly in circles. At first, nobody understood why. Then Daniel realized something. There was electrical interference beneath the ground. Somewhere under the forest, massive generators were running. The recon team continued forward carefully. And then, gunfire exploded from the darkness. German soldiers wearing white camouflage emerged almost invisibly from the snow. Machine guns ripped through the trees. One American soldier collapsed instantly. Another screamed after being hit in the leg. The forest became chaos. Daniel fired blindly while snow burst around him from incoming bullets. Captain Morris shouted for the team to retreat, but by then, it was too late. German troops had surrounded them completely. The prisoners were dragged deeper into the forest, and there, hidden beneath layers of snow and camouflage netting, Daniel finally saw it. Massive steel doors built directly into the ground, ventilation towers hidden between trees, radio antennas rising silently above the forest canopy. The rumors were true. There really was a secret underground station beneath the Ardennes. The Germans called it Station Echo. Daniel expected execution. Instead, the prisoners were taken underground. The bunker stretched for what seemed like miles beneath the earth. Concrete tunnels connected giant radio chambers filled with strange equipment. Generators hummed endlessly behind steel walls. German engineers rushed through corridors carrying cables, maps, and encrypted documents. Some of the machinery looked unlike anything Daniel had ever seen before. Large electrical devices emitted deep vibrations through the floor. The entire bunker felt alive. Then Daniel met the man in charge, Colonel Reinhardt. Unlike most German officers Daniel had encountered, Reinhardt spoke calm, perfect English. He explained that Germany understood the war was slowly being lost, but Station Echo represented one final advantage. Using powerful radio systems hidden beneath the Ardennes, the Germans had been intercepting Allied communications across enormous distances. And worse, they had successfully transmitted fake orders directly into American radio frequencies. Entire units had unknowingly walked into traps because of those false signals. Thousands of soldiers may have died because of lies broadcast from underground. As Christmas approached, the bunker became increasingly unstable. German engineers argued constantly. The underground generators were overheating. Fuel reserves stored beneath the facility created enormous danger. If Allied bombers discovered the station, the explosion could destroy the entire forest. Yet the Germans refused to abandon it. The station was too important. Meanwhile, above ground, the Battle of the Bulge continued growing more violent every day. Thousands of men froze to death in the snow. Others disappeared during night patrols. And across Europe, civilians waited desperately for the war to end. On Christmas Eve, everything changed. American forces finally discovered the approximate location of Station Echo. Late that night, bunker alarms suddenly began screaming through the underground corridors. Explosions shook the concrete walls. Dust rained from the ceiling. The Americans had launched a direct assault. German soldiers rushed toward defensive positions while engineers attempted to destroy classified equipment before capture. In the confusion, Captain Morris attacked one of the guards and stole his weapon. He shouted at Daniel to run. Together, the surviving prisoners escaped through smoke-filled tunnels while gunfire echoed throughout the bunker. Daniel could hear radios broadcasting overlapping voices in German and English. Even during the final battle, Station Echo continued sending false transmissions into Allied frequencies. Captain Morris realized the station had to be destroyed completely. They fought their way toward the generator chambers deep underground. The heat became unbearable. Massive turbines roared inside giant concrete rooms glowing with sparks and steam. Daniel climbed toward the transmission controls while Morris planted explosives around the generators. One by one, Daniel destroyed the radio systems. Cables were ripped apart, signal amplifiers smashed, frequency controls destroyed. And finally, for the first time in months, Station Echo went silent. But the bunker itself was collapsing. Fire spread rapidly through the tunnels. Pipes burst overhead. German and American soldiers alike desperately searched for exits as explosions tore through the underground complex. During the chaos, Daniel encountered Colonel Reinhardt one final time beside the main communications chamber. The German officer stood quietly among the dead radios. According to Daniel's later testimony, Reinhardt spoke only one sentence before reaching for his pistol. "War never ends," he said. "Men only find new ways to lie." Daniel fired first. The colonel collapsed beside the machines he had spent years protecting. Moments later, Daniel and Captain Morris escaped into the frozen forest. Then the ground behind them erupted. A massive explosion tore through the Ardennes. Flames burst through. The snow-covered trees as Station Echo disappeared forever beneath fire and rubble. The Battle of the Bulge continued for several more weeks. It became the deadliest battle ever fought by the United States Army during World War II. More than 19,000 American soldiers lost their lives. Thousands more were wounded or missing. Yet, despite the scale of the battle, stories about hidden operations like Station Echo remained buried for decades. Some military documents vanished entirely. Others remained classified long after the war ended. Historians still debate whether secret underground communication bunkers truly operated beneath the Ardennes. But survivors like Daniel Hayes never forgot what they saw beneath the forest. The spinning compasses, the fake radio messages, the underground city hidden beneath the snow, and most of all, the silence that followed after the station finally died. Because for one brief moment, during the darkest winter of World War II, the war itself seemed to stop breathing.